Welcome back. Today I wanted to share something that I think might help you if you haven't done it before. I've been using the Lichess board editor to set up custom positions, but just in the last couple of days I found out something pretty cool about it, and I'm going to show it to you now. What you're seeing here is the front page of lichess.org, lichess.org. If you hover over the Tools menu at the top, one of the choices you'll see is Board Editor, and I've used this several times before. You can drag the pieces to any position that you want, and then click the Analysis board to see what Stockfish says about that position. You can also drag them off the board if you wanted to have a board. Whoops, you were going to have your king there. But you can click the trash can and just click pieces and they'll disappear. So if you wanted to work on endgames, you can get rid of the pieces that you don't want to work with, and then click the hand tool to move the pieces into the position that you wanted to work with. Okay, now I've done all that before, but what I didn't realize until very recently is you can hover over this menu called Set the Board and choose a bunch of different popular openings. King's Pawn, Alekine's Defense, Caro-Kann, Four Knights Game, French Defense, and you can... Are you not seeing this drop-down menu? I don't think, for some reason, the drop-down menu is not showing. But anyway, it's there, I promise. And there are a bunch of endgame positions. For example, I can just click Pawn Ending 1, and it moves the pieces into the position that you can work with. And over here, you can choose white to play, black to play, and set that. And then click Analysis Board, and it will take you to the Analysis Board where Stockfish is running and will tell you what the best move is or the only legal move, so forth. And that's the really cool thing. I'm going to click the back button that I found out recently. And again, I'm not sure why the drop-down menu isn't showing up on my video. But there are quite a few endgame positions, and I found out that some of them are the exact ones that I've been seeing in my book, 100 Endgames You Must Know. I found that out by accident because I had manually moved all the pieces on the board to set up the position I wanted, and it showed right here that that was the name of one of the endings, and I realized, oh, there's a bunch here. Pawn Ending 2, which is the same one but with white to play. Pawn Ending 3 is a position that I showed in a recent video talking about the pawn square, and in this case, white to move, white wins because the black king cannot catch this pawn. But again, you can choose from various popular endings or end games, and once it's selected, it puts the pieces where they go. It tells you whose turn it is. You click the Analysis board, and you can play from there. So anyway, that's pretty helpful, especially if, like me, you're studying end games. Many of these positions are the exact positions found in endgame books, and I assume that's why they were chosen. Pawn Ending 11, Rook versus Pawn 18 is this position. And again, you can see that I've selected the title there in this drop-down menu, even if you can't see the actual drop-down menu when I click on it. There's also options for variants, which again, you can't see the drop-down menu, but there's Crazy House, Racing Kings, and so forth. But I'm more interested in this list of endings here, which the original wording in that spot was called Set the Board, and then you choose what you want. For example, the Danish Gambit position looks like that. Ruy Lopez Berlin Defense, as well as all the popular end games that I've been working on, Bishop versus Knight number 5, and so on. So this could save a lot of time, especially if you don't have a physical board that you want to set up, or you're checking your end game on the go. This works on mobile also, although it is a little more difficult to access on a mobile device in the app, at least for me, than just choosing the end game positions that you want. I did also want to mention that Chess.com has a similar thing, but not exactly the same, and for me it wasn't as helpful. On this menu at the left, you'll go to Learn, and then select Endgames, and it has Endgame Training, and I believe this is available on the free accounts as well, although don't quote me on that. And here on the right, we have choices to study for endgames such as checkmates, two rooks mate, queen mate, rook mate, and so on. There are also pawn end games, winning king and pawn, drawn king and pawn. This is more like a puzzle though, because when you click one, it says solve 5 positions as quickly as you can. And then I guess you're just supposed to play at this point. Like you click start down at the bottom, and then it'll tell you if you've made the right move or not. And I think, yeah, it functions basically the same as a puzzle, and then the computer is playing against you, and then you have to win this game. But I'm going to quit that and go back. Also, on whichever one you choose, winning king and pawn, for example, instead of challenge, you could click practice, and there are 5 positions listed. So that's position 1, that's position 2, position 3, position 4, position 5. But as you can see, it's far more limited than the number of positions available on the Lichess board editor. There's also the Learn tab, which just takes you to the lesson on understanding endgames. On Chess.com, there is a board editor, which I didn't know about until today when I went looking for it, because it's not obvious. You first have to go to Analysis, and then Set Up Position, and then here, I believe it functions as a board editor. You can drag the pieces off the board similarly, or click the trash can to clear the board completely, and then put on only the pieces that you want in order to practice your end games. And then from there, if you click load, does it take you? Yeah, if you click load, it takes you to an analysis page with that position. So to me, that was a little less intuitive and a little less helpful than the one on Lichess, but it is available if you're only on one side or the other. And as I said, going back to the Lichess board editor, you can choose the exact ending that you want, opposite colored bishops, for example, rook versus pawn and rook, and then just click the analysis board, and it takes you to the analysis board where you can actually play the position. Hopefully that was informative. If you haven't discovered this yet, I found it to be a very helpful tool. One example was one of the pawn endings in the book that I'm studying, in which it said in parentheses, well, if black does this, then the path to victory is clear. And it didn't say how or why. And I played that on my physical board, and I don't understand. And I played it out like 5 times and came up with the draw each time, even though the book said, well, the winning path was clear. So I went to the Lichess board to set up that exact position in the board editor, again here, and then found out that it was one of the positions already available in the drop-down list. And of course, then Stockfish told me exactly how to win that position, and then it seemed obvious. But anyway, thank you for watching. See you next time.